Megan, I don't know about you, but sometimes burning bridges can cause wrinkles.
Yeah, and I have noticed I have a few of them coming in, and I'm not too happy about it.
Luckily, there's amazing places like Youth Bar that can fix all your wrinkles and all your skincare needs.
I love them actually. I've been to Youth Bar and they did a great job on my Botox. I want to go in for like IV treatments. They've got filler, everything. So if you want to go to Youth Bar HFX on Instagram is where to go.
And if you love burning bridges just as much as we do, right now you can use the exclusive code BRIDGESBURN for special pricing on your first Botox or filler treatment or one of their many other services.
So are we going soon?
Let's go right now.
Okay. This is Bridges Burned with Megan and Amy.
Courtney Amirault has burned bridges and taken dance out of the studio with delayed layoffs over the span of nearly 15-year broadcast career. She's worked in nearly every on-air capacity from news director to afternoon drive to middays to morning co-host with a bit of programming and promotion for some razzle-dazzle. Courtney moved on out to the social media marketing world for good in 2019 and is considered training for a third and final career as a surly construction worker. This is Bridges Burned with Courtney Amirault.
Wow, thanks for an incredible intro.
Of course. So you've worked in a whole bunch of positions in media. Name some of them and what was your favorite?
So, in terms of on air, all of them. I've been news director, I've been a reporter, I've been an anchor, I've been a stringer, I've done overnights, I've been the court reporter, I've been like you name it. So, in terms of news, I've done everything on air as well. I've been morning co-host, I did middays. I did a co-host afternoon drive show. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
And so really, girls, like co-host for afternoon drive.
I did that before too.
Did you? Yeah. Was it because, girls not just enough? Because that was
Because I was doing traffic. I was doing the traffic updates.
Yeah.
Eventually the new host that came in after the guy was a female. But she was hired and I wasn't considered for that job.
Of course. Yeah. So in terms of on air, I've done it all. And then, you add little extras like doing promo direction or doing a little bit of programming. So everything except for sales.
Wow.
Ooh.
So why don't you tell us a bit of your bridges that you've burned?
All of them. Like with gasoline and a match. Like I am persona non grata, at least in maritime radio circles. I made sure of that because how do I say this? Radio destroyed me, but I enjoyed it at the time. I enabled that. I was not in a good headspace and I never should have been in radio to begin with. Mm-hmm. So the bridges that I burned on purpose were my last job as news director. I was like, if I ever return to radio again, I'll die. It's like I will break myself to death or somebody will kill me. Because
you kind of did it on purpose. You were like, I cannot
be
in radio ever again, so I'll burn this bridge.
Because I kept that door open and I kept running back to radio when things weren't working out in other careers or other jobs. It was my safety blanket, but there was nothing safe about it.
It's like an abusive relationship, kind of.
1,000%. That's what everybody in my life and my therapists all explain it as. They're like, you can't. And I mean, it says a lot that I did end up in an abusive relationship during the course of my radio career. Like, there's so many parallels with domestic violence. It's disturbing and it's triggering.
Especially as women, I think, too, right? Because we've talked about this so much. It's just such an industry where you want to be nice and you want to play nice. And so you really repress a whole bunch of your feelings and emotions and you let so much shit that shouldn't be allowed to happen.
We are, and I'm going to use the word groomed on purpose. We are groomed from the second we step into the industry that nobody needs you. There's always somebody else that's going to be prettier and isn't going to talk back, is going to work for less. So shut your mouth, do your job. And if we let you go, that's your fault. that's not a great foundation.
You're 100% right. And you just saying that right now just spoke to me so much. You said how ironic that you were in an abusive career in radio and you were in an abusive relationship at the same time. And I thought to myself, my most unhealthy years were when I was in radio. And now that I've been gone for almost 5 years, I'm like the healthiest I've ever been. And all of a sudden I'm making this connection, which I didn't really make before.
I like the treatment that I accepted and to some degree encouraged in radio directly affected how I reacted like in my romantic relationships as well. And I allowed somebody to come in and absolutely destroy my life, my career, but like it was the same as work. So it was fine.
It's funny because I was recently let go. And I think one of the hardest parts for me is being like, it's like being in a toxic relationship. And then it's like the abuser lets you go. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you? I should be leaving you.
Yeah, like the thing that I was most struck by is how it was grief counseling that helped me get through everything. It wasn't anything else because like I had to grieve my career. I had to grieve who I thought I was. I had to grieve all the BS that I accepted and actually thought that that was okay. I would never have accepted that in any other industry. You crazy?
It's something we have to unlearn too. There's a lot of things I've noticed I've had to unlearn. Amy is just beginning her journey on the unlearning, but I feel like there's a lot of times where I have thought, oh no, it has to be done this way. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Who the hell said that? And it does feel like a process that you're starting.
Yeah.
It's scary because like, okay, Amy's not had the experience yet, but I'm sure that you have. Have you ever told old radio war stories to people that were not in the industry who then like had to tell you like, that's either not funny, that's traumatizing, or that's not a story that you should share. Like it's not actually like it's bad, Court.
Yeah, when I first started, my dad was like, "Why do you have to go in an hour early for your show but don't get paid for it?" And I was like, "'Cause you have to do show prep, Dad." And he was like, "But why don't you get paid for it?" Because like I was part-time or whatever. I was getting paid hourly, not salary. And they were like, you have to be here at 10 a.m. even though your show starts at 11. Fair enough, but pay the time. And my dad works in IT and he's like, I don't understand. And also you have to go do like a 10-hour show at like this big concert. You didn't get paid for it. Why didn't you get paid for it? Dad, it's radio, obviously.
Yeah. And that's the other, and they bait and switch us. Like if you don't like or you do not drink, you're not going to see any value in a radio job. But if you do, it is a gold mine. And all three of us know that because we've all lost people to alcohol and drugs in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did that impact you in your career?
Oh my God, it ruined everything. Like I was already a little bit spicy, a little bit out of control with partying in my life. I would say that for the entire career I was in radio, I was a functional and at some points not quite functional alcoholic. So in my first job on Friday afternoons, I would take off from Cape Breton, drive to Halifax, get a hotel room, rip my face off partying. I'm not going to say what, but we all know. And then come back. And like, that is not sustainable. And also like rumors start. Eventually, the moves that I made to Alberta was to encourage myself to stop abusing certain substances. I'm like, if I go somewhere where I don't know anybody, where it's really conservative, like I'm not going to wander up to somebody at a bar, elbow, hey, do you got any such and such? And in fact, that did help. But they supplemented our salary with liquor there. And there's no other way to put it. And when I say like, girls, you've never seen the likes. We got called into an all-staff meeting after the news director stole the company vehicle and trashed it drunk over Christmas. And nobody got in trouble. What we got from the company owner were these laminated cards for this service. And I can't remember what it was called. It might have been called Another Choice. We had these gold-plated laminated cards. You call this number, they come get you and your car and they drive you home because the whole staff had a problem with drinking and driving, except for me because I won't do that. So like on Fridays, we would lock the door at 3:00 and have rum runner because that's how it sounds after you've gotten so drunk that you can't say rum Friday.
Right. I don't know if you noticed this when you were in a bigger market, but when I was in the Halifax market, I noticed that the alcoholism was huge. Everyone wanted you to hang out. And if you didn't hang out, you were kind of like the outcast of the station, which I felt like I was at the beginning because I didn't drink that much. Then when I went to Vancouver, the Vancouver market, they didn't care as much. I didn't find that people really cared about drinking as much. They didn't make you feel bad if you didn't go to an event or anything. I found it more prevalent here. I don't know if you feel the same with your...
I feel, well, I mean, you look at all the free work that we were talking about that we do, you're usually paid in booze.
Yep.
You'll go to this concert, here's some drink tickets. Oh, you have to do this event, here's some drink tickets. You have to do a booze cruise, here's some drink tickets.
Yeah.
So you're basically paid to do that.
Yeah. And that was like, I would say the absolute worst I was probably when we were colleagues, Amy. I was not healthy.
And I would have never known that from you. I just thought, here's Courtney. She's wild and crazy and sassy, and I love hanging out with her.
And I was biking home and going to the liquor store on a bicycle, a fucking pedal bike, girls, to pick up a case of beer and go home, because if I didn't, I was going to get my face smashed in by my partner. It was our receptionist, Michelle, who clocked one too many bruises on my body. And she hauled me into like the prod corner, and she's like, "What is going on with you?" I was like, "Oh, nothing." Showing up stinking of booze every morning, like not doing good shows. She's like, "I know what's going on, and you have to break up." And I was like, No. Long story short, Michelle gathered a bunch of people from the station, trucks, rounded up at my apartment, took everything out of it, and moved me out. That was
Wow.
Oh.
What an amazing person.
See, my ex showed up, and there was all my shit was gone. And she's like, "What the fuck happened?" And I was like, "Just don't ever contact me again." Well, that went through the courts, like with abuse and stuff. Like it was very, very, very traumatizing. And that's the other reason for the significant amount of alcoholism. People don't realize that when you're a news reporter, like you're getting the unfiltered raw story, and a lot of it you can't report. And the things that you can't report, you also will never be able to get out of your head.
Right.
So there's a lot of PTSD that I've tried to drink away. Like I have to say, like these days I'm more adjusted. I've had the counseling that I need, the therapy that I need. I don't drink. I'm not traumatized, but people do heinous things. And like some of Canada's most notorious cases, I've had a hand in covering. Like there's a case in Medicine Hat where a 12-year-old girl killed her family. I covered that. Like it was insane that the crime had already happened, but like I hadn't known the details, and it just stomach churning. And then, work says that they have employee assistance programs and therapy, but do they really? Can you really open up and say something? Because I get the impression that you can't.
Yeah. When you were reporting these stories, did you go to therapy during this or not until after?
I drank. I was so horrified. It was so ill. Yeah. No, I didn't understand therapy. I didn't understand the concept of accessing it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I thought it was normal to drink like that because everybody around me did. Yeah. It wasn't until I finished radio and got into other industries and started telling radio stories that they're like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Well, do you want to share some of those stories? Like you were saying about an afternoon co-host, and we'll get into that. Do you want to spill some tea?
That was so weird. So this cropped up time and time again in my career. Getting hired to replace or fire the male that was in that position and blindside them. So when I accepted the job in Alberta, they're like, "When can you get here?" I was checking out my calendar. I was like, give me a month. Sold all my stuff, drove over. I got to Medicine Hat, and I got to the motel where I was supposed to meet the GSM. By the way, you have to hide in this hotel for a week because the guy you're replacing doesn't know. If you want to let him know, you can, but the news director has to work up the nerve.
What? As if that's any of your responsibilities.
So I'm like hiding in this hotel room 5,005 kilometers away from home with two like contraband cats. Like the hotel didn't accept cats, and we had them hidden to the point where like sales manager's wife was making like fake meows to like cover for us. Eventually they were like, it's cool, whatever. But so that was that. I was like hiding in this hotel and I'm like, what have I done? Like, and I didn't see the red flag.
I want to hear about some of the bridges you've earned.
The bridge I burned at, yeah. Okay. So the most misogynistic, terrible, terrible woman hating bosses that I had. I made it my mission to get a layoff. I was not going to quit. I was not going to quit. After all the shit that I ate, I was not going to quit. I was like, I'm going to make this so impossible for them to work that they're going to have to give me a layoff. And that I did. It was not unusual. Like after the morning show ended and everybody's kind of gathered in a sales pit having a chat, it was not unusual for me to waltz in, just be like, well, I would love to stay, but I fucking hate everybody here, and then leave for the day. And everyone was like, did she just? Yes, she did. When I got there, they told me that it wasn't just a morning co-host job. It was also reception. I was like, nope. You'd have to know me for 10 minutes to realize how bad an idea that is. And they're like, yeah, no, like you have to do reception. I'm like, anybody else in this building but me. And they're like, yeah, but the woman. And I was like, what? He's like, well, the last co-host did. It's just to cover during the lunch hour. I was like, all right.
No.
But, it's like, all right, but you're going to be sorry. So they trained me on it. And the first thing I'm going to say is that the desk was really high and elevated, and I was a foot lower than it. So people never even came in anyway because they thought it was unstaffed.
Right.
But when the phone rang, I would just pick up and say, no, and hang up.
Stop.
So it wasn't much longer than a week that they're like, okay, then you're not going to do reception. So they got the sales.
So you were morning show, and then after morning show at noon until what, 1, you did reception?
That's what they wanted.
So you do, I don't know, you finish your morning show at what, 10 o'clock or something?
Yeah, something like, yeah, it was around there. And
Stay, you just wander around for 2 hours. Unnamed, probably.
No. It gets better. I also had to voice record the news for the Fredericton country station. Because, I mean, it was all under, at the time, and the same PD. And he had decided that the morning show co-host in Fredericton was a fucking moron. She can't read, so I'm going to get you to record it and send it. I was like, why'd you hire her then? If she can't read the news in a news position, why did you hire her?
Yeah.
Oh, same thing men say every time they don't have an explanation. So I had to do all of that. And then we had a voice track midday show. So I had to input all the voice tracks, but they would come in like the last 5 minutes of the show. So I had to scramble. So that's what I was doing. And then I had to write IDs and copy for fun.
For fun.
I had to pull all of the audio clips for the best of show and write it and record it. I had to go do streeters. We had to go do, I had to stop streeters because long before the American president ever said it, I got full palm grabbed in the pussy. I asked a man from New Orleans to tell me what he thought poutine was, and he's like, there's only one way I can answer. He shoved his hand in between my legs, grabbed me, and then grabbed my ass. I was shaking. As it turns out, fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Courtney freezes, and then she fawns. There's no fight or flight in me at all. After multiple times of being sexually assaulted and harassed, I had to tell the PD that I could no longer do streeters. I'm 5'1". I can't defend myself against people who want to put their hands on my body. I can't. Like that. No doesn't really mean a hill of beans to someone like that. So I was always busy. We were always busy doing something. And I have to stress that my co-host was a man and he received the same treatment as me. He didn't get treated like a woman, but like he was really like, it was awful. So that bridge got burned. I made it so difficult for them to work with me, but I did incredible work. Do you know what I mean? Like I made it my best shows, my best co-hosting, the best clips, the best remotes, the very best. So they had no choice but to give me this sweet, sweet layoff, sweet, sweet EI. When they finally called me into the boardroom, I almost cried. They're like, and I was like, stop right there. I was like, I've been trying to get you guys to do this for months. And they're like, so I was like,
they didn't know.
They did. I'm like, you guys are dumber than I thought. But one of them I used to call like Lunchbox Dan. So that's about where his intelligence level's at. I shook their hand. I thanked them for the opportunity. And then I literally danced out of the studio and slammed the door. My co-host was like, awesome.
That must have felt so amazing.
It did. It really did. And like for that situation, I'm not even embarrassed to say the whole issue was that the PD he had launched the station as the morning show host. He had done too much, too fast, took on too much responsibility, and he had to be pulled off a morning, and his precious ego couldn't handle it. So he did everything in his power to sabotage the morning show. I'm talking slow, not even mid-tempo, slow metal songs that are 8 minutes long at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. Who does that and for what reason but to slow down the morning show?
And then God forbid you say something and say people don't want to wake up to an 8-minute song, and then it's well, you don't do this and this and this and this, and God forbid. But it's funny because if another host that was a male brought it up and was like, hey man, what's up with the music? Oh, then it's a conversation.
Yes, yeah. They even made us do like this absolutely off the wall personality test to see how we meshed. Because like the relationship between my co-host and I was tight. I trusted him completely. And so our content was fantastic because we could go really, really far. I knew that he would keep me safe. So when we did all these personality quizzes that really dug into some dirty, dirty shit, what came back, like the PD was furious. He's like, this is one of the tightest, most enmeshed morning shows. You couldn't actually like create a relationship like this. Like, he's like, it's almost like familial. You have gold on your hands. And he tried harder and harder and harder to tear us apart. Eventually, he let me go, the co-host not long after, and he resumed his position in the morning.
Oh.
Wow. But do you want some really, really scalding tea?
Yes.
So this PD was a hulking beast of a man with the deepest voice. He made Johnny Cash sound like he had inhaled helium. Girls, I kid you not. So you think with all these natural gifts that radio in him would be perfect.
Yeah.
Nah, it was a square peg in a round hole. So when he was doing afternoons, he didn't actually have the confidence to do it live. So he would voice track in real time. So he'd be in the studio, but he would record his track so that in case he stumbled, it wouldn't be audible on air. Everything was like, it was sanitized, boring, robotic, rock and roll. But he has some kind of confidence issue because when he was messing up one of his tracks, he thought nobody was in the studio, but our midday guy was. And he hears this thumping and screaming. And so he goes, we were in a fishbowl for broadcasting, the studio was. So he goes to kind of listen and he hears, and I'm not going to use the names. Come on, Dave, you little dick prick. You can do this. You can do this. You can nail it. Come on, you little dick prick. And we're like, what? Another time he was doing his tracks and like, you know how sometimes you start stumbling and it's almost like you get into a stutter and he's going rock, 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 rock. He meant to say like the name of the station, but he kept like bucking, kept stumbling on rock. And the guy comes in, he's like, are you okay, man? He's like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's just so like he hated anybody that was better than him, and it affected the whole station. Like it tanked.
What a terrible PD.
See, like he never had another radio job again. Like he, in the year of our Lord 2018, actually tried to get a billboard on the main drag with a naked chick with a guitar covering her parts, saying "Turn us on."
Oh, God.
1973.
Yeah, that's so done.
It's just like, it's not good content. And like the stuff that they were posting on their socials is so misogynistic that I was like, if anybody ever puts my name on one of those posts, you're going to hear it. I was like, this is not content that I'm here for. Yeah, that bridge was burned. I never worked for that company again. And the last bridge that I burned was when I was news director. And I realized that the world is, I stopped working for good in radio in 2019. So after COVID and Portapic, and especially the lobster wars that were happening on Saint Marie, I realized that my life was actually in danger doing that reporting in this area, and the station couldn't keep me safe. So when I was reporting on the strife between the indigenous fishers and the commercial fishers, I started getting death threats via social. And I just like, you can kind of tell, especially in a small town, like what's serious and what's not, who's just blowing smoke, who's just
It
frustrated.
happens all the time. You get death threats or you get hate mail and stuff, and you kind of rub it off your shoulder. But then you, like you're saying, for people who, another thing talking about radio are like the death threats, and we're like, tell us more. Whereas if you worked in another industry, people would be like,
Right.
Yeah.
So I kept my eye on it, but just like, it's nothing. And then it started getting a little more personal. And then it started going like, we know where she lives. And then I used to cycle to work because it was just a few blocks away, but it was at 4:30 a.m. Right. And I started noticing a pickup truck parked at the end of my block. And it didn't matter which route I took, they followed. And I was like, this is kind of sketchy. And so I told the station, and their solution was just, well, don't bike to work anymore. I was like, well, give me the station vehicle.
Yeah.
And
Pay for my taxi, pay for my Uber.
yeah, so that was the solution. And then instead of like, I don't know, literally anything else, they kept me from reporting in the field. I was only allowed to work in the station. I couldn't go anywhere further than that. And then the commercial fishermen, you guys remember the movie Airheads? They did that. They tried to break into and take over the radio station.
Oh my God.
They were protesting outside of DFO, which that's cool. And I was covering it. And then they marched their protest down Main Street where the station was. And then somebody had the bright idea, let's go take over the station. And they decided, yeah, let's try that. So we were up on the 3rd floor and we had obviously the door locked. It was always locked because of COVID. And they filed in and filled up the entire stairwell going up 3 floors with signs and bodies and screaming. And then they started trying to pull open the door.
That's
terrifying. I'm like, they're looking for me and I wouldn't go out. And so they're screaming that I'm a coward. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a coward. I am not going to be torn apart by a mob of angry fishermen. That is not the way I'm going to go. That is not a cliff. That is not a car. Hell no, you're not going to get me. So they sent out the PD and he tried to reason with them. But like the things they were saying were fucking crazy. They were crazy. They literally thought that like we had any influence whatsoever over what courts do, over what DFO does, over what ministers do. Like it really signaled to me that people have lost the plot. They don't understand basic civics and my life is in danger if I continue this job. So it wasn't a few months later that I was like, I am done, like done. I never want to do this again. Ever. And like there had been bullying at that station too, so it was very easy for me to leave.
Are you allowed to talk about the bullying?
I can. I'm going to tell you guys this is the funniest complaint that's ever been lodged against me. The PD at the station believed that not only the station, but the whole ass world would fall apart if he was not there to monitor it, schedule it, what have you. He really was a self-important dickhead. So he didn't like me. Most people don't. And as I mentioned earlier, I used to cycle to work. Management got an anonymous complaint about how my bicycle smelled so strongly of marijuana that, yes, that's what I said, that because people in his family had once suffered with addiction, he was frightened that the smell would trigger him to try a substance and then become addicted. And management took this complaint to me. And I was like, don't you vet the complaints that you get? I was like, don't you have any ability to think critically and maybe, just maybe, this complaint has no merit? And he's like, well, we're obligated. So that was the whole smell my bike debacle where I made Everbat in a station, walk 3 flights down and smell my seat.
and what did they smell?
Bike.
I've never heard anything like that before in my life.
When they watch you gone, they will hold on to the littlest things. And it's just, you can't win. You just can't. And then it kind of fucks with your mind. You're like, okay. And it's, oh, girl.
I was just like, what am I doing here? Why am I fighting for a job that I took a pay cut for, that nobody really appreciates, that they're like, they hate my guts. What am I doing this for? Like, radio has never been like, I don't know about you guys, but every man I've ever worked with in radio, like, it scratches his ego. That's like the main driver. That wasn't it for me. I found it fun and stimulating. My ego is fed by my delusional self, who thinks she's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't suffer from any confidence issues whatsoever. That also bothered people that I've worked with. As I'm being really, it is delusion. So yeah,
To this day, the sound of especially a man's radio voice just grates on my. There's somebody I follow on TikTok. Well, a few people I follow on TikTok, and they're guys that work in radio, and the voice that they still use, even on TikTok, I'm like, no one likes that voice anymore. And today, it was so fun to do this today. I'm just like, shut up. No one. That's 1971. Stop it.
You know what's really, really funny and kind of subversive? Two of the male co-hosts that I had the deeper voice.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I had. There's something very strange about radio in Yarmouth. The men's voices are really high. They have like the really hey.
A little nasally too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
I love a good strong voice. There's nothing better, but the enunciations and the fake sound, it's just not what people want to hear anymore. It's done.
It isn't. Like I started to really realize that in St. John when like people would approach me and they're like, "Wow, you sound exactly like you do on the radio." Versus our midday guy, they're like, "That's not really him, is it?" We always got that. They're like, "Really? That's him?" What you got on radio was the same raw, unfiltered, unhinged maniac you get in real life. So it really worked for me, but like there was nobody to rein me in.
Yeah.
Like the really crazy behavior that would be fireable offenses anywhere else in St. John were like, that was a positive. I was given, God, what was that award I got at the staff Christmas party? I think it was like the most HR violations.
Wow.
They gave me like a prize and then the employee handbook to reread. So I mean, if they're gonna like, they would give me more alcohol to act crazier because they thought that was rock and roll. I was embarrassing myself. Like I was the court jester. I was so foolish. But I'm not embarrassed because it was what it was.
Absolutely.
Looking back, I mean, yes, any toxic relationship, there has to be some good times to keep you going. What's like one thing looking back on your career, you're like, that's so fucking cool. I did that. I covered that. I was at that.
There were so many, a lot. Oh my gosh. So in terms of news, I was really, really proud of all of the coverage that we did during the 2013 flooding in Alberta, in southern Alberta. I don't know if you remember like the Saddle Dome being underwater. Like, so we basically like got cots and stayed at station for days because it also affected where we lived, and it was just as bad, if not worse. Yeah. So that was incredible. It was such a rush. I've done like a lot of on the spot like weather reporting, like for hurricanes and stuff. It's always fun. I was part of a team that was able to shed light on the fact that like the worst of the worst Canadian criminals were still getting like their government benefits once they turned 65. So it was like Clifford Olson that triggered that. And like we went so hard with that. I'm pretty sure the story won an award, and it ended up that like legislation came and like they no longer get those benefits. And I'm not saying that like we did that. It was Peter Stauffer that like held the mantle, but like we were in on the ground floor and we pushed hard on that story. So it felt good. Mm-hmm. Once again, the Medicine Hat murders, like that is a crazy story. I got a lot of opportunities to do mentorship for young girls that were interested in like STEM or non-traditional industries. And that was really like, that filled my cup. Mm-hmm. And I got like lots of follow-up that like, hey, I pursued radio. And like in retrospect, I'm like, what do I do? I ruined your life. I ruined your life. Stop. I've done like, to be perfectly honest, like I have such severe anxiety that like all those really cool like MC gigs that people did, I hid from. I had co-hosts that were able to shield me from some of the panic and terror of those gigs. Like I have to tell you, the first time I ever MC'd a gig was for a little show, like tiny little intimate venue. And I got so nervous that I went onto the stage, introduced, it was a brother sister, it was Jill and Matthew Barber. I'm just gonna say it. It was Jill Barber, Matthew Barber. Get up on stage. I'm like, okay, you're all clapping, but I know it's not for me. And so up next is Jill or Matthew Barber. I forgot which one. And then I jumped off the front of the stage and walked to the back of the room.
I feel like people would have loved that.
I didn't stay to see. I went home.
Oh my God.
Like, there's just no, like, I can't do live things. I can never speak live. I get so flustered and frightened. So
I find it very hard, actually. Even working in radio, you don't see people when you're in the studio. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're a great person to MC this event. And then you do it and all these humans are in front of you. I would try and avoid MCing anything I could for years because it scared the shit out of me.
I always grew up. I think once we were doing something and you had to like say the sponsors, and I was, instead of Holland Production, I said in Tom Holland, and somebody was like, yes, let's give it up for Spider-Man. And I was like, oh my God, that just happened with thousands of people. But I totally get it. It's those things.
Yeah, it is scary.
yeah, like, I mean, we all take pride in like the very best remote we did where like somebody sold, like they sold a million things. Like I did a remote once that like they sold like 12 RVs in the 3 or 4 hour period and made their year, and like they started giving me these hundreds for a bonus. It like, wow. My boss in Alberta, like he used to send me like on trips to see bands I liked, football games, like just because he knew that I wasn't making enough money and they didn't want it to be all weed. Or I mean, sorry, alcohol. Weed came later.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other things. Like I was very much do my show and go home thing. Like what was perceived as flaky was actually just like, I can't leave the house. I'm scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't go to a lot of those things. Like I didn't do a lot of team building. I've always been kind of a loner, and I like that. And I wasn't like the people that I worked with.
And if you don't feel comfortable and you already have anxiety, then why would you want to go? It doesn't feel right. Yeah.
It's just, and I'm like, I'm just gonna end up getting drunk and making a fool of myself. Like, yeah, that always happened. Like the staff party in Toronto, Amy, that you and I went to. I got so drunk that I fell backwards out of the VIP onto the dance floor.
Oh my God.
You passed out of bed and we started putting little cups on you and stuff. But you know what? Honestly, we were all in the same situation. I would have never like just looked at you and been like, Courtney has a problem, because there was 17 other people blacked out.
And this is it. Like nobody has a problem when everybody has a problem. You know what I mean? Like at that place, I was not even the worst of the worst. One of our co-workers died. Like
honestly, in 2016, one of my previous coworkers died from alcoholism, and number one, didn't know he had a problem like he did, and number two, it was a huge wake-up call for the whole industry for me.
Yep.
In that moment.
Yeah. It stopped being really, really funny really fast. Yeah. Was like at one point the getting drunk and doing crazy stuff was content. It was just like, hey, you saw me out doing this and this will happen, and like it was a way to connect, and people that saw me at the bar was like, oh my gosh, tell that story. That was so cool. I know her. She's my friend. But it was all bad, guys. Like none of that was healthy. It wasn't safe.
No. Looking back now and where you are, do you feel better? Do you feel stronger being out of media, therapy, not drinking? Do you feel good?
Yeah. Like I have such much healthier coping mechanism. I suppose like other undercurrent of my radio career is that my dad was sick and dying the whole time. So like I really didn't have there was just no peace, and there was no refuge from really, really heavy feelings all of the time. And that also was like a big reason that I drank. So when you and I were colleagues, my dad was often at the QE2, like getting brain surgery or what have you. So like, what do you do? I never knew that. You were very, nobody would ever. But like these days, yeah, like I don't drink. I still don't go anywhere. My favorite things to do are like garden and take walks and do Pilates and grill. Like I am fully in my grandma cougar era.
Yes, girl. It's the best era. And I feel like some people too, they're like, oh, you don't go out, you don't do this. And it's like, your job was going out and doing this. And so your downtime, I'm going to sit in the basement and watch Vanderpump Rules and watch them act a fool. Don't talk to me on a Friday night after I've done mornings all week long and given you everything I have. I have nothing left.
It's the amount of people that told me how easy my job was, but like couldn't give 10 minutes of fire social time to anybody else. I'm like, you can't do what I do. But it's the burnout from having to be social, funny, and on all of the time. Like,
It's real.
oh my gosh.
And then when you're out with people, they're kind of looking at you. You kind of feel like you have to be on too. And I remember looking at Everett and being like, I can't go out tonight. I can't be Amy. Like, I just need to hide under the covers tonight.
Yeah, I literally have been like, like a seal, like throw me the natural. Like I'm sad that I degraded myself that way. I'm sad that I accepted that type of treatment, but I'm happy that like I'm in a space where I know that it was wrong. I know that it was bad. And I know that I wouldn't accept that now. And I know that like I've burned enough bridges that I can't go back.
Yeah.
And I can't be treated that way again.
Right.
Like I still have that itch.
We have talked about this, and there is something about the industry, and it is evolving, so we can do it now in different ways, hence podcasting. But there is something about it that once you leave, and if you go into another industry, there's something that like calls for you, or something that's missing from your body, literally, when you leave.
It's true. Like it took a lot of grief counseling. I'm still not over it. Really, like I felt like my career ended the way that I wanted it to. I reached news director. I had done everything that I had wanted to do. I had a very successful career by the metrics that I measure it by. Other people may not think so because I didn't go Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, but like that was never what I wanted. But I felt like the career ended with a whimper, you know? I just hated that. I hated that I had to bow out because I got pushed out because nobody could keep me safe, nor did they care to.
It's devastating in the end.
But for your mental health, it's worth every minute.
I look at pictures from back then and I'm like, I feel like I'm not the same person. Like I don't look the same at all. I don't feel the same. So yeah, I'm glad to not do it, but I wish I could do it. And that's probably going to be me till the day I die.
What is it you do now?
Nothing.
Join the club.
This is it. I got a very unexpected blindside. I left the industry to go towards marketing. Like everybody who leaves radio either sells cars or houses, and I can do neither. So I had done some time at a marketing agency in Halifax, like between St. John and my last job. And I loved it. I was doing like lots of community management. So like basically talking to people on social media. I was writing copy. I was dealing with a lot of cannabis clients, which is a dream. Like I actually made it through the black market gauntlet without ever being arrested. I was never on police radar. And then I got to transition to legal rec. And I was like, oh my God. So that really, it gave me the creative outlet that I so desperately needed, because like if I don't have that, I'll go insane. But it just like, I'm not great in an office. I have a lot of personality traits and quirks that can't really rein me in.
Fair enough.
Fair
enough.
Well, I struggled a bit, and like I was kind of a work from home pioneer that way. Like I was just like, let's just keep me in my house where I'm productive. I'm not productive in an office. I'm a wanderer and a talker. That is what I've been doing. And I was working at my best friend's agency that she started. I walked into her office on a Friday when I was working as news director. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Can you hire me? And she's like, I can. Do you want to start Monday? So I stopped working radio on a Friday, and like that was it. Boom. Fini. Doing that for like 4.5 years, but I just got laid off, and I'm starting to get like a real aversion towards jobs that are creative. I'm tired of using creative as a ways to earn a living, because it's burning me out. I'm not making what I believe it's worth, and AI is destroying everything. So I'm looking for something else that is not a creative endeavor. I don't want to monetize my creativity anymore because I find that it's limited, it's boring, and I want to be able to use creativity for creativity's sake moving forward and like actually make money doing some boring shit.
Fair enough.
I love so. We'll see what it is. I'm like possibly accounting, bookkeeping, possibly construction, but like I'm looking for something completely different.
I love that.
So very different. If I had balance and I didn't get seasick and I didn't have like the body composition of Gumby, I'd go fishing. But I have the body composition of Gumby. I get seasick and I have no balance.
Oh no.
If there was one thing you would want to see change in media and the whole industry for the future employees, what would that be?
One thing, get out of here. Have the thousand.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think radio's biggest issue right now and always is going to be, well, that's the way we've always done it. Radio needs big thinkers. They need, I don't want to say out of the box, I mean out of the friggin' planet thinkers. The AI and the voice tracking and the clusters of station using one voice for like no bueno. It is not working. So we need people like, because it is a necessary industry. I still get my back up when people go, radio. People still listen to that? Yeah, they do. A lot, actually. Some people rely on it. For some people, that's all they have.
And it's funny too when you say big thinkers, and it's always been like that. My last job, we had a consultant who is a dinosaur. Like when we first started our morning show, we were 3 and he's like, okay, well, we need a dick, doe, and deer. And you're just like, but no, we can just be ourselves. And then he kept trying to push us to do newsletters. And we're like, well, we have TikTok, we have this. He's like, yeah, but a newsletter, inside scoop. And I'm like, and this is the person who's making money, who is telling me that I'm not doing my job properly. But this is what he's pushing for. And you're like, you're going to fail. You're going to fail when you have people like that in charge, not trying to get ahead and out of the 80s when it was all radio.
Yeah, I think if we had a completely different mindset, that it would change everything. Like the root of all evil in radio to me is this is the way we've always done it. We've always abused our employees. We've always drank.
Yeah.
Always treated women like crap. We've always put a spice category. We've always done this. We've always done Fox this way. We've always had this format. We've always said no to block. Everything is always the way that it's been. It's the way that it should be. And I'm like, nah, babe. That's archaic. It is. And it's not working. It sucks. It's like all 3 of us, I'm sure like you guys have all had I own a radio station fantasy. I'm sure you have. And then like what you would do different. And yeah. It's like I don't see any of what I would do in today's industry at all. No. And I know that what I would do is not wrong. And I also know that it would be successful and make money.
More female managers too, because we get shit done and we can think and we can multitask a lot better.
Oh, get shit done. Do you know they hired me at my last job because nobody in the building had the ability to fire the guy that was doing news. Like he was destroying the station. He was so bad. And nobody wanted to fire him. So they hired me to fire him. They're like, they like those words. So I have to stress when I say these things, it's not, I think this is what happened. It's this person's words confirmed it. They said that. The first day that I started in my news director role, that employee met me in the news area. And he's like, jeez. I was really surprised that they hired a woman and especially a lesbian. Around here, that's not going to fly. And I was like, what did you say? What? He's like,
who says that?
Right? And so I was like, I'll have you know that this is my hometown. I was raised here. Everybody knows me. Everybody accepts me. Everybody likes me. And me being a woman lesbian is not going to be a problem. So I had to like go immediately to my boss and be like, am I going to have a problem here? Like, is this really going to be a big problem? Like, why are we out here calling me a friggin' lesbian? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? I don't news direct with my vagina.
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a fuck?
So I was told like, he's got to go. The person that you're replacing took early retirement because he couldn't handle him and he couldn't bring himself to let him go. because I had worked together for ages. So that began like months of, the process is like. Eventually, he left, but like it was a month-long process. He disrupted everybody's work, and I'm just like, all of these people, and not one person can do their job and lay this man off or fire him or whatever. Like, what is going on?
So they hired the woman to do it.
They did.
The woman lesbian.
Woman lesbian.
Sorry. Yes.
I was just like, what is going on here? And so my very first day, that was what he had told me. That weekend, like before I started, we had like a big storm and the power got knocked out. And so he had gone to the station to start the generator, which was in an old bank vault, enclosed, and gasoline. Then he went upstairs and got carbon monoxide poisoning. And if he hadn't called the fire department when he did, he probably would have died in the station.
Oh my God.
So when they told me that I had to be trained on how to start the generator, I was like, no. No. They're like, but I was like, no buts. I'm not learning and I'm not starting it. It's not safe. You have a gas generator operating in a tiny little enclosed space that's belching gas up into I was like, you have to work in gas everywhere. So no. I was like, it's not safe.
But honestly, thank God for women like you in the industry, because we have talked to a few women and a lot of us have felt like we were never able to say no. We always had to say, okay, yeah, whatever you want. Even if it's something about the generator, it doesn't matter. Sitting there and saying, no, sorry, not in my job description, not doing it. That is such an amazing thing to be able to do.
See, that was my last job. If I had been told to do that in my first job, I would have learned how to turn it on with my teeth. And do you know what I mean? Do you know, like, you start to learn. And like, by the time I got to my last job, I was a little bit like, you can't tell me shit. Yeah. I know what I'm worth. And I was like, if it was outside the purview of what I had to do, or if I felt it was any way dangerous, I was like, nah, and you can't make me. And if you want to fire me, try.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Courtney. It was been awesome.